Hi everyone, I've been asked to go over some of the new controls and the changes that have been done to the key bindings that you're going to be seeing in the 3.5 update. Now, as a disclaimer, I'm going to be using the mouse and keyboard for this demonstration, and I'm also going to be using the default key bindings, with the exception to a very few custom changes that I've done to it. I'll let you know what any of the changes are that I made to the default configuration and why I did them. It's also recommended to delete your user folder. This is not only a good idea to do after a major update, but it's also because so many changes have been made to the default key bindings that if you've heavily customized your controls like I have, you may find that it's caused a number of conflicts to occur with the new key binding scheme. I'm going to be going over the standard control mode, cruise control mode, and then finishing up by showing how these controls can help aid in landing your ship. Let's start off with the standard controls. This is the method of movement that your ship is going to be defaulting to after you've spawned it, and when you're taking off after having powered it back on again. This method of controlling your ship is going to give you a whole new level of precision when moving at slower speeds. A major change with the new controls is that it remaps the WSAD keys to strafing forward, back, left, and right. I've also altered my mouse 4 button to strafe up, and the mouse 5 button to strafe down. This gives me my 6 degrees of freedom all at my fingertips whenever I need it. Another major difference with the controls is the introduction of the speed limiter. If you look to the meter to the left side of my flight controls, you'll see what I'm talking about. You can set the speed limiter by using the mouse wheel to scroll it up and down. As the name implies, this will set the maximum speed at which your ship will strafe or cruise at depending on what mode you're in. As long as you're holding the strafe button down, you'll continue to accelerate till you've reached whatever level you've set the speed limiter to. If you press left shift while you're strafing, you'll engage the afterburner, and you'll quickly accelerate up to that point at an even faster rate. Be careful when using this, because you can overheat your engines if you use the afterburner for too long. At any time, if you stop pressing the strafe key, you'll instantly start to lose momentum and will eventually come to a complete stop. And if you hit space brake, you'll quickly start to decelerate at an even faster rate. It should be noted that using the space brake for too long can also put your ship in danger of overheating the engines. If that happens, the engines will shut down and you'll temporarily lose control of the ship, so make sure to use it sparingly. I rely on the space brake so much that I have it mapped to my space bar, which allows me to use it when needed and to be able to use it in short controlled bursts. Let's move on and talk about the cruise control. If you tap C, your ship will go into cruise control mode. This means that your ship will start to automatically accelerate up or slow down to whatever you've set the speed limiter to. And just like with the cruise control that's found in a car, it'll continue to keep the ship moving at that speed at a constant rate. Now you can tell that your ship's in cruise mode by the little arrow that appears on the left of the speed limiter. It should be noted that even if you throttle the speed limiter all the way down, you're still going to be moving, albeit extremely slowly, but you will still not come to a complete stop while the cruise mode is activated. And just like with the standard mode, you can use the left shift to quickly accelerate up to cruising speed, and the space brake will quickly slow you down. And once again, using either of these two functions for too long will put you in danger of overheating your engines. If you press C again, you'll drop out of cruise mode, and your ship will instantly start to decelerate. I find using cruise control is good for flying around in open space, while the standard mode is more handy for flying around at slower speeds along the surface of a planet, or for when you're taking off and landing. Speaking of which, let's move on and talk about how this new control scheme is going to affect the way in which you land your ship. When I come in for a landing, I generally like to drop out of cruising mode roughly around 1,000 meters or less away from my target, and then use the strafe key to travel the rest of the way in. You can use the space brake in short bursts to get your speed down to a manageable level if you feel like you're coming in too fast. And when you start your approach to land, begin throttling back on the speed limiter incrementally till you reach the landing pad. By the time I'm over the landing pad, my speedometer usually is reading around 8 to 4, and I throttle it all the way back to 2 once I start the vertical portion of my landing. You can use the strafing down key or the space brake to instantly kill any lingering momentum that your ship still has once you've touched down. If you want to practice landing, I suggest going to any of the landing zones that are found on Crusader's moons, and preferably finding one that doesn't have a platinum bay to spawn vehicles at. That's because the ones that don't have a platinum bay are usually far less crowded and attract less people to it. That way you can have some space to yourself, which is going to allow you to be able to practice landing over and over until you feel like you've got a handle on it. And here's just a few more handy key bindings you should be made aware of. Pressing R will get your ship flight ready, U powers the ship down, and Y will get you up and out of your seat. Well, that's going to be it for this general overview of the new flight controls, as well as what some of the new key bindings are going to be. I'm Law of the West, your handy co-pilot of the stars, wishing you a happy flying experience and safe travels.